the esoteric sense. To understand the full scope of this allegory, we need to look at the story in detail. Let's walk through it, step by step, and uncover what's truly hidden behind the surface. The story of Pinocchio doesn't begin with a miracle. It begins with a piece of wood, ordinary, rough, and seemingly useless. No sacred origin, no divine intervention, just discarded material lying in the workshop of an old man. And yet, that piece of wood was already alive. Geppetto, a solitary carpenter, finds it and decides to carve a child from it. He doesn't question why the wood groans or seems to resist. He simply gets to work. He wants a son, and if he can't have one by natural means, he'll build one himself. This decision doesn't come from love. It's about desire, about imposing form where there was none, about control. And from that desire, Pinocchio is created, a child shaped by hands, not born through life. He enters the world under conditions he never chose. From the moment his face is carved and his limbs assembled, he's treated not as a being, but as a project, something to be completed, improved, corrected. His purpose is clear: to become real, to meet the standards of others, to obey. There's no room for freedom in this arrangement, only duty. He isn't asked what he wants. He's told what he must become. This opening moment holds more meaning than it seems. In esoteric symbolism, Geppetto embodies the figure of the demiurge, the creator of form, but not of soul. In Masonic tradition, he represents the master craftsman. Pinocchio is the raw apprentice, the unshaped material that must be refined, not for its own sake, but to fit a purpose defined by others. The wood itself represents untransformed matter, the unconscious self. Which means the soul was there, trapped inside something unfinished. Collodi's choice to describe this is not accidental.
My credit score sucks. I keep being denied the things I need.
Yeah, that was before you found Ava.
What's Ava?
It's how I got a $2,500 credit limit to build my credit without a deposit or a credit check. My credit score jumped 32 points in 45 days.
Wait, seriously? I'm just sitting here stressed.
Exactly. Just download Ava already. Seriously, your future self will thank you. Download Ava today.
It's totally free. Jump into awesome counter transaction. Play around in the heart of your daffy and feel the thrill every time you put it through. Download now and enjoy the rewards of card gaming club. He was a Freemason, deeply involved in the symbolic language of initiation, transformation, and the struggle between form and essence. The message is clear. The soul doesn't enter life freely. It arrives bound, forced into a role it never asked for. The carved wood takes shape, and then something happens that no one expected. Pinocchio comes to life, not by his own will, not through an act of love, and not even by the hand of his creator. Life is given to him by a figure who appears without explanation, the Blue Fairy. But she doesn't grant him freedom, she gives him conditions. Pinocchio is alive, but under a test. He's told that only if he proves himself to be good, obedient, and brave will he be allowed to become a real boy. Until then, he remains a thing, a puppet bound to a purpose that isn't his. From the very first moment, existence is not a gift, it's a debt. His only goal is to prove that he deserves to exist. In esoteric terms, this moment is critical. The Blue Fairy represents higher authority, not a mother, not a savior, but a watcher. In Gnostic tradition, she can be seen as Sophia, a divine intelligence who oversees the journey of the soul through the material world. Or, from a Masonic perspective, she might symbolize the lodge itself, the unseen power that imposes trials upon the initiate. She does not offer freedom, she offers rules. Pinocchio is not born with a soul. He is promised that through suffering and obedience, he might someday earn one. And this is the first trap. Life as a test, where every misstep carries a price. The process has begun. The soul, still blind, is now caught in a system of judgment set by higher forces. Worse still, Pinocchio cannot understand the world he's been thrown into. Yet he's expected to act as if he does. He's punished, not just for disobedience, but for being ignorant, for not knowing how to function in a world that never taught him. Every mistake is met with correction. Every natural impulse is labeled wrong. He isn't guided. He's controlled. His so-called life is just the space between commands, between trials, between moments where others decide if he's worthy. And this is the hidden key. Pinocchio is born a slave to a promise. From the first breath, his life is no longer his. He belongs to the one who made him, and the one who now controls him. He is property, not just of Geppetto, but of the system that gave him life with strings attached. Geppetto, obsessed with the idea of turning the puppet into a real boy, sends Pinocchio to school. He believes that formal education will fix what's missing, that it will transform a wooden body into a worthy soul. But for Pinocchio, the world is alien. Everything is unfamiliar, contradictory, and harsh. No one explains anything. He's given orders, commands, and threats, but never guidance. On his way to this so-called place of learning, he is stopped by two figures, the fox and the cat. They promise him freedom, riches, a life without rules or punishments. No more school, no more lectures, no more being told what to do. Just easy wealth and adventure. Pinocchio follows them, not because he's greedy, but because he's lost, and they offer a way out. What follows is betrayal. He is lied to, stripped of his coins, ridiculed, and ultimately hung from a tree, left to die, alone, and abandoned. No one comes to save him. This sequence is not random. The school represents the system of control, the machinery of indoctrination. It doesn't teach independence. It doesn't nurture thought. It demands blind obedience. For children, and for souls, this system isn't a path to growth. It's a cage built out of expectations. Pinocchio doesn't rebel out of evil. He stumbles because he wasn't prepared. He was thrown into a world of rules he didn't understand, and punished for failing to obey them. The fox and the cat are not just criminals. They are false liberators. They represent the deceptive paths offered to the untrained soul. Alternatives that promise freedom but deliver pain. They appeal to instinct, to desire, to the yearning for escape. But their only purpose is to lead the soul off course, so it can be punished and controlled even more harshly. And that...
More rewards, more savings, more special offers. That's what new Fuel Rewards members get at Shell. Join to save 10 cents per gallon on your first bill, 20 cents per gallon on the second, and 30 cents per gallon on the third. Join today.
That early, brutal moment marks the first symbolic death. Pinocchio is not killed, but he comes close. He learns that any step outside the imposed path brings immediate suffering. The world doesn't forgive mistakes, it punishes them. This is the dark truth. The system does not educate, it enforces. It doesn't offer understanding, it demands compliance. Pinocchio, like any soul cast into this world, has no room to err. He must adapt or be destroyed. After barely surviving, Pinocchio falls into the hands of Stromboli, a traveling puppeteer. Stromboli sees the living puppet not as a miracle, but as an opportunity. He puts him on stage, makes him dance, sing, entertain the crowds, and the people love it. Pinocchio becomes a star, but when the show ends, the truth is revealed. He's not a guest, not an artist, he's a prisoner. Stromboli locks him in a cage, denies him food, refuses to listen. Pinocchio pleads, begs for mercy, but Stromboli sees only profit. The boy is valuable, but only when he performs. When he's silent, when he rests, when he fails to bring joy to others, he's locked away. All Pinocchio wanted was to live. Now he exists only to serve. Stromboli is not just a man. He embodies modern society, a world that buys souls, strips them of agency, and uses them for entertainment, consumption, profit. The stage is the illusion of acceptance, the lie that if you serve others, if you make them laugh, if you bring them pleasure, you'll be rewarded. But the reward is conditional. You matter only as long as you obey. And the cage, it's not just made of iron, it's psychological. It represents the total loss of control, the moment when the soul becomes property. Pinocchio no longer owns his voice. He sings, but the song isn't his. He moves, but only on command. His life has been outsourced. He exists to generate value for someone else. Here lies the hidden key. Pinocchio sings, but his voice no longer belongs to him. His joy, his pain, his effort, they've been commodified. The soul has become a product, trapped in a system that rewards only compliance. And all that remains is to wait for someone to open the cage, for someone to allow him to live again. But those in control have no intention of letting go. Then he escapes again. Pinocchio runs, not from danger, but from obedience, from the system that punished him, caged him, humiliated him. He no longer wants to follow rules. He no longer wants to suffer. That's when he hears of a place with no school, no commands, no punishments, a place where every desire is allowed, the island of pleasure. There, children live without restraint, no lessons, no work, just games, food, noise, destruction. They laugh, fight, break things, indulge. And for the first time, Pinocchio feels like he belongs. Here, no one tells him who to be. No lectures, no expectations, just freedom, raw and intoxicating. Or so it seems. He gives himself to it fully, laughing, shouting, mocking, devouring everything around him. In this chaos, he feels alive. He thinks this is real life, freedom without cost. But when the laughter fades and morning comes, everything has changed. A mirror shows him what he has become. Long ears, hooves, and a braying sound that escapes involuntarily from his throat. He no longer recognizes his own voice, his own body. Pinocchio is no longer a boy. He has become a donkey. And donkeys are not free. They are sold, beaten, forced to work until they collapse. And so he is, humiliated, controlled, degraded again. Only now he cannot even speak. His soul has been reduced to an animal. The island of pleasure is not paradise. It is a soul farm designed to trap the inexperienced. It offers freedom as bait, inflating the ego, encouraging indulgence, then stripping away identity. The children believe they are choosing pleasure, but in truth, they are being harvested. The donkey is the symbol of spiritual collapse. The soul has surrendered its will, its reason, its essence, and has been reduced to a tool. No voice, no face, no memory of self. Just obedience through pleasure, then obedience through pain. The pleasure was never real. was designed, controlled from above. The system that punished disobedience also manufactured false freedom, knowing the end would be the same: submission. This is the darkest truth so far. Pinocchio thought he had chosen, but his choice was manipulated, his desire weaponized against him. Freedom, misunderstood, became just another chain. At this point, Pinocchio has nothing left. He's lost his freedom, his voice, even his own body. All that remains is a desperate search for Geppetto, his creator, who has vanished. He finds him in the worst place imaginable, inside a whale, trapped in darkness, frail, starving, waiting for death, alone in the belly of the beast.
At Valvetronic Designs, we have been designing and manufacturing the best exhausts and mufflers for any build, helping enthusiasts have the best driving experience with their vehicle. Valvetronic Designs, the audible experience perfected.
Without hesitation, Pinocchio throws himself into the sea. He dives into the abyss, into the unknown, and finds Geppetto in that suffocating void. And there, something changes. For the first time, Pinocchio stops thinking about himself. He doesn't run. He doesn't complain. He carries Geppetto on his back. Together, they escape the whale, but Geppetto collapses in the water, unable to swim. Pinocchio drags him, pulls him toward the shore, fighting the waves, exhausted, broken. Pinocchio lies dead. His wooden body floats in the water, still, broken, emptied by the ordeal. He gave everything, his will, his body, his life. There is nothing left to take, nothing left to fight for. And then she appears. The blue fairy, distant, unreadable, untouchable. She does not weep. She does not mourn. There is no tenderness in her eyes, no grief for what was lost. Only completion, the silent execution of what was always meant to happen. With a gesture, she transforms him. The lifeless world dissolves. The rough edges, the imperfect grain, they vanish. In their place stands a child of flesh and blood. The puppet is gone. What remains is the final product. Geppetto cries with joy. He embraces the boy, now real. The journey, the pain, the punishment, all of it is over. Everything ends well. Pinocchio has been accepted, transformed, rewarded, but through it all, no one ever asked if he wanted this. This is not rebirth. It is ritual formatting, the final phase of a programmed transmutation. Pinocchio has endured the Negredo, the descent into darkness, confusion, suffering. He has passed through albedo, purification through obedience and sacrifice. And now he reaches the final stage, rubedo, the fixing of his final form. But this form is not free. It's the version that others wanted. The wild soul, unpredictable, dangerous, alive, has been recast into something useful, something accepted, something real by the standards of those who judged him. In the language of alchemy, this reflects the great work, the perfection of base matter into something refined. In Masonic symbolism, it is the transformation of apprentice into master. In Masonic symbolism, is a code of true transformation of what lost along the way was identity. The soul once resisted, questioned, and wandered. That soul has been erased. What remains is a being that fits perfectly